So when you have somebody come in to real estate and your first paycheck, the work you do now pays off 60 to 90 days down the road, it's really, really hard for them because they're so conditioned to believe that you do work and you get paid, and that's not how real estate works.
All right, and we're back. And this is not your mom's podcast.
No, it is not.
This is not your traditional real estate glamour shot podcast, people. Toss away those business cards with the 90s glamour shots and get with the program. Get tactical. And that's what we're all about here. Real agents, real results. I see Chris is pouring some bourbon, so he must be getting ready to go.
It's been a day.
Well, I'm sure that'll make it all better.
Yeah, a little Jefferson's Ocean.
Nothing will assuage difficulty like substances.
Yeah. Totally healthy coping mechanism.
Temporary. As long as you only want to cope temporarily, alcohol is phenomenal.
Yes.
All right, guys, welcome to the Tactical Agents Podcast. Man, since we've dropped the podcast, so many people are listening, leaving ratings and reviews, and we really, truly appreciate it. We're in the middle of a series right now of the paradigm shifts that we believe are necessary, that are fundamental to move from being a traditional agent, what most people experience and learn in this business when they get going, to a tactical approach, a way of see and approach the business differently. But that requires shifting our mind and changing our paradigms. And I got to thinking, I keep saying that word, but what the hell does it even mean? So a quick little definition by typing into the Google machine, what is a paradigm, yields the following result: a typical example or pattern of something, a model. And that's what happens when we get into the real estate world. We fall into a pattern, and since you're a complete fool when you first start in anything, which is fine, right? Like you're gonna suck, and then you won't, right? Like eventually. But we adopt the patterns of those that we're exposed to or we relate to early on, and then it's difficult to break those patterns of behavior that result from the way that you're thinking. So we start with shifting our mind and changing our perspective on these things. So that's the paradigm shift. And today we're going to be talking about moving from instant to investment. And one of the reviews...
Wait. I got to interrupt you. You.
Uh-huh.
If we're going to be talking about being tactical and not traditional, why are you still using Google?
Oh,
you got to use ChatGPT, man. Come on. It's 2023, man. Come on.
That's true. ChatGPT is so scary. It's scary.
I know.
And we need to do an episode on that probably after we get through the paradigm stuff, because if you use it right, it can be a great supplemental tool for a real estate agent.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
There's tons of applications for business, and that real estate is no exception. So we'll get to some ChatGPT stuff. But yeah, if you guys haven't heard about that, chat.openai.com or the app ChatGPT. It's unbelievable. They just released the newest version, and it's insane. It's kind of scary. It's kind of scary too. So wherever this technology, whoever's hands it falls into, it's pretty important. We'll see. So yeah, it should be in our hands. We wouldn't mess it up, I'm sure.
No, definitely not.
This review that I want to share kind of leads us into what we're talking about today. And thank you for that, Real Estate Rookie 2022, who gave the podcast 5 stars and says, "This isn't your typical here's what I'm good at, buy my book podcast. These guys are putting education and inspiring content out there genuinely help people. You can tell they genuinely enjoy their careers and have made helping people the way of life." I mean, outside of coming off like we're patting ourselves in the back, that's our hope. This is what we want to do with this podcast, with the YouTube channel. And if you're listening to the audio, we are launching our YouTube channel. We're in the verification process, but if you look up the Tactical Agents, I'm sure you'll find it. The video versions of this and more content will be put out. We'll put that out there as well. But
yeah, that review, man, like that is the most humbling review ever. Mm-hmm. You know, like you go through and you try to do things, and like a lot of people misinterpret what we're doing, and they think that it's all about us. And to see that somebody has actually seen through that and seen that it's about more than that is really, really humbling. So whoever you are, dude, I really appreciate that review. Thank you.
Yeah, that's that made me feel like, man, okay, we're doing the right thing here. Like we're really investing in people. We're adding value. And he said, like, buy my book. You could buy our book. It's on Amazon. If you want a hard copy, a paperback copy, a Kindle copy, you can buy it, or you can just get it for free. I don't know how long it is. A couple hundred pages. I mean, it's a book. Yeah. It's not a cheesy like download this worksheet kind of a thing and give us your info and then we spam you. It's not that. We're giving you the whole book. I have the PDF in front of me right now. It is 230 pages. It's a book. And it took us we poured ourselves into this thing, and it can be yours for free. TacticalAgentArmy.com/book. www.tacticalagentarmy.com/book. And you can grab it for free. So there's the value add. All right, so we're going to talk about moving from instant to investment, which is really shorthand for instant gratification versus being invested in something for the long haul. Those are two very different things. So I want to talk about instant to investment among two different types of real estate agents. Let's talk about brand new agents, and then let's talk about experienced agents who maybe feel like they're hitting a wall, right? Like they've been in the game for, 4 or 5 years and beyond, which is good for realtors because, like we said, 87% of them quit. They never renew their license. So let's talk about people who have renewed. They do this as a living. So those two things. So let's start with the rookies, since the real estate rookie did a review.
Sure.
Where do you see rookies in real estate seeking instant gratification or instant results versus investing in the future?
Well, I think most people that come into real estate come in from a 9-to-5 job before, and they get their first paycheck 2 weeks after they sign on the dotted line, right? So when you have somebody come in to real estate and your first paycheck, the work you do now pays off 60 to 90 days down the road, it's really, really hard for them because they're so conditioned to believe that you do work and you get paid, and that's not how real estate works. So I think there's a little bit of a necessary mind shift there when, they come in and they're like, man, I called 3 people this week and nobody sent me, a check. Or even I've got a house under contract and it's going to be 45 days before I get paid, and this is really stressful. So you just kind of have to realize, like I said in the beginning, it's what you do now is an investment into what's going to happen 60, 90, 120 days. I've even had somebody that I worked with that it took 4 years from the time that I met them first and they said, hey, can you help us get a house, until I handed them the keys for the first time. 4 years.
Were they just really picky? What?
Well, they had some credit issues, and then, we had to work through that, and then they, had to get some job situations sorted out, and it was just a long process for them, getting their credit straightened out, and, relearning finance and how to manage money and all that stuff. But once they got it done, I sent them a copy of Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, and they got on that process, and nice. It was kind of like, it was a long process, but I say long, how much time did I really invest? I had a couple conversations with people that I genuinely liked them. We had good conversations. I sent them a $20 book, and, over the period of 4 years, we probably talked quarterly for about 10, 15 minutes, and I got paid $12,000, $13,000 when they finally were able to buy a house. So, the investment does pay off. Yeah,
for sure. I think I see rookie people leveraging tools wrong, or they set up expectations for more instantaneous results. It is. It is mind-numbing. And if you've done this as a real estate agent, I mean, I'm not trying to kick you in the balls too hard right now, but honestly, guys, we've seen it. I'm guessing almost everybody. I don't know why a non-real estate agent is listening to this podcast, or a mortgage loan officer. Like, it's just really like we're in that space. But even before you became a real estate agent, I'm sure you saw, and this is the paradigm, right? The pattern that you probably imitated, which is you saw somebody post their brand new headshot and said, "Hey everybody, I'm a real estate agent now. Call me for if you need to buy, sell, or invest, give me a call. Check out my new website." And it's the same stuff that everybody does. And there's a false expectation that's like, okay, if I just use social media like this, I'm going to get instant results. And they're misusing the tool because they're mistaking the means as the end. And so they, instead of using social media as a means to connect, right? Like we talked about before, like we're seeking connections, not commissions. I think these go hand in hand. If you're seeking commissions, you're more wanting instantaneity. What instantaneity? What the crap is the English word for this? Crap, dude.
And cut that out.
No, that stays. All the mistakes stay. All of our flaws stay. Anyway, they want it to be instant, and it's not, because that's not the point of social media. People treat it that way. We treat it as the end, and it's not. It's a means. And apply that to any activity. Calling people, meeting people for coffee, whatever else. That's not the end, right? That's a means to build connection and invest in those relationships.
And what you're talking about with that post on Facebook, the I'm a realtor post, or I'm a, whatever post, that has been the hardest paradigm to shift new agents out of. I think you'll agree with this. Of the hundreds of agents that I've coached over the years on how to be successful, I can't, like if I had a baseball bat, I couldn't beat them enough to get them to not do that. And it doesn't matter how many times I say it. And I think it's because so many agents do that it's so ingrained in their psyche as to this is what an agent is, that it's just hard to overcome that avatar that they've built for what an agent is. And I don't know. It's crazy to me. It doesn't matter how many different times we say don't do this, or we shame them in our Facebook groups. They still do it, and it's like, man, what do I have to do?
Yeah, we have literally taken some of the agents we coach and be like, don't do this, don't do X. And then you wake up the next day and look at their Facebook and they did X, and you're like, what language am I speaking? Am I talking Klingon here? What the heck, man? Like, we get in our own ways, and it's a strong pull. That instant desire is a strong pull that has to be avoided. You have to, time for dollars. That's one of the reasons I got involved in real estate. Because time for dollars as a startup business, I mean, the learning curve on a traditional business can be pretty massive, right? Like if you're trying to build a brick and mortar, a production business where you're making goods and you have to learn production, you have to learn marketing, you have to learn employee management, you have to learn finances. There's so many pieces. And when it comes to the real estate world, time for dollars, I mean, you can hit the ground running, no doubt about it. But you will see results faster when you are the kind of person who has an investment mentality. The agents that we see take off the fastest are people who in their day-to-day life before real estate had been the kind of person who invested in others consistently. If they were the kind of person that with genuineness and with and no expectation of getting paid back or getting something out of it, people who kind of live their life that way tend to have faster success. So we're trying to help shift your mindset to where, how can I get in that groove? How can I get in that kind of a flow to be on the right path, to get long-term results? Because that's what matters anyways, the long-term game. getting something right now doesn't actually grow your business. So shifting gears to maybe the more traditional agent, somebody that's been in the game a while, how do you think that they fall prey into this instant trap versus investment trap?
Yeah, that one's a little trickier to answer because they still do it, but they've been doing it so long that it doesn't seem like they're seeking instant gratification. Mm-hmm. But you'll see it a lot in the forget everything, I have a client mentality. So when you see somebody get a client and they're like, oh, I have to do everything with this client, I have to be totally focused on this client, and they ignore everybody else in their life, in their sphere, that they could possibly touch. And then when that transaction's over, or those couple of transactions are over, they look up and they're looking around like, where'd everybody go? Well, where everybody went was you forgot to invest in them, and they were like, well, I'm moving on with my life. So and I think that kind of leads to the real estate roller coaster, right? The huge up and down swings that so many agents go through. And I think a lot of it has to do with them not continuing to put emphasis on investing in relationships for the long play.
Yeah. I feel like I see this most in real estate agents who start to take shortcuts because they feel like they've been there, done that, and they think that they can start taking shortcuts. And it just doesn't work. It's like, making a recipe and kind of chincing on a couple of the ingredients, and you kind of like, yeah, you made it, but something just doesn't taste right. Something is off, and you like, maybe you can't place your finger on it, and everybody's kind of looking at each other like, something ain't right with this dish.
Right.
It's because you started taking shortcuts, and I see that because relationships are hard. If you've been listening to the podcast, if you go back and kind of catch up, you'll hear that the drum that we're always beating is it's about relationships. And so real estate, the actual physical real property, that is incidental to what we're doing in the business. We're dealing with relationships. We're dealing with people, and we're helping people make a transition in their life. And when you start to take shortcuts, what that means is like, well, I'm going to cut back on the amount of times that I'm meeting people for coffee or taking somebody to lunch, or going to make sure that I'm really present at my kid's sports game and meeting other people and connecting to people and being present with them and investing in that relationship. I'm just going to start dumping more money in internet leads. Yeah. I'm going to start trying to figure out other ways that keep me more insulated from the hard work of relationships. And they are hard, right? That's the work, is investing in the relationships. What
they don't realize though, like even a lot of the more successful people who deal with cold calls, with calling expireds, going after FSBOs, doing the internet leads, a lot of the people that are the most successful with that are successful because they take that contact and turn it into a relationship.
Yes.
And that's not the way that we teach, but we don't teach the only way to be successful in real estate. But if you're going to do it another way, it's still important to build that relationship, because you can really have a really strong foundation with people, even if you met them by, more traditional means, or non-traditional. I don't know how you would classify that, cold calling, but,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And the guys that really kill it in those different avenues, it's still the same game. It's still the relationship game. You're still dealing with people, and you're not going to make somebody buy a house, right? You're not going to hard sell them until they buy something most of the time. When you're talking about spending, anywhere from $150 to $3 million, depending on where you are in the country, it just doesn't work like that. It's still a relationship game, and people just should focus on that. I'm getting off on a tangent. Continue.
No, that's good. It's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's it, guys, right? You have to approach this business with an investment mentality. Your time and your money are the two resources you can apply as you grow your skill in real estate. And most of us don't have money to start. So
Yeah,
we
especially in the beginning.
do have some time, right? We can invest that time, and that's a lot of what we go to in the book is what are the sort of like examples of how you can invest in those relationships for the long haul. How do you start to do that? And so obviously we try to keep these podcasts to the point and hopefully a value add. But again, you can take a much deeper dive if you want by going to tacticalagentarmy.com/book. It's free. Drop it in there. And once you do, you'll even be able to text us back or whatever if you have questions or follow-up. And if you just look at the tacticalagentarmy.com, that's our coaching program for those that want to join the Army. We're here and ready to help you take your business to the next level and stop being traditional. Start being tactical.
And if you do text us back, don't be an asshole. Like, we actually do monitor that. So if you get like an automated text from us, like it's Mike or I or one of our employees, Mike's daughter, that's responding to those texts. So
yeah, you'll get an auto. We set it up to where, because I can't be at my phone 24/7 to like, because some people are like going on the website to get the book at 2 a.m. Well, I'm sleeping,
Right.
dude. So like, but I don't want you to have to wait. So what we do is we have an automation set up. Like, you drop it in there, you'll get a text, you'll get an email that says, "Hey, thanks for your interest in the book. Here's your download," and we'll give it to you. But don't just respond back. It's not a spam text. It's a real number. Like, it's our number. Like, you can reach us there. Like, we'll actually answer you. So, you got questions, concerns, you want to complain about our podcast and tell us how terrible we are, that's okay too. We'll take your feedback into consideration. But that's it, man. Thanks for joining us for this episode. We have 2 more weeks on the Paradigm series. And then, man, I'm feeling some Chat GPT after that.
Yes.
We'll talk about how to leverage AI for the future of real estate until AI takes over. And
gets all of us out of a job.
We're all robots.
Universal basic income for everybody.
In the meantime, I'm going to go protect my gas stove from the government and do some real estate work myself. All right, guys.
Roll Tide.